Do you have an electric vehicle? Or are you planning on getting an electric vehicle? If you live in Illinois, tomorrow opens up a new window for electric vehicle rebates, where you can get $4,000 in a rebate if you buy a new electric vehicle. Or I think it's also a used electric vehicle, but all that's coming through the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, and it's your tax dollars. But is it sustainable? And what do we do with these batteries? All right, these are important questions that I don't think have been fully hashed out. We'll hear from the Illinois EPA's new electric vehicle coordinator. Also, you've got headlines out of the automotive industry in general, with the UAW coming to terms on a new contract, a tentative deal. Here is Shawn Fain, the president of the UAW, over the weekend, sharing details about the deal that they came together with, the Stallantis automobile manufacturer.
We've done the impossible. We have moved mountains. We have reopened an assembly plant the company closed. And it's not just Belvidere. We are reopening Belvidere. We are saving Trenton Engine and Toledo Machining. With this agreement, we're proving them all wrong. We are bringing back both combustion vehicle and battery jobs to Belvidere.
So Fain specifically talking about a Belvidere plant here in Illinois. So we've had now 44 days of the strike that was taking place. And they say on that 44th day of their strike, across the country at different automobile manufacturers, they put the pressure on the big three, and at least Stellantis now, agreeing to keep things operating and to increase investments in the Belvidere plant here in Illinois. With details on that, here's the UAW Vice President Rich Boyer.
8 months ago, Stellantis idled Belvidere assembly plant, putting 1,200 of our members on the street. This company ripped the hearts out of that community. Stellantis didn't care. Brothers and sisters, we made them care. From the day I heard they were coming after Belvidere, I swore one thing. We weren't going to let them kill another working class community. UAW family, it is with my great honor to announce that we saved Belvidere. Again, we have saved Belvidere. From the strength of our stand-up strike, we will bring back thousands of jobs to Belvidere. We have won a new vehicle at Belvidere. It will be a mid-sized truck, and we will have 2 shifts. In addition to the vehicle commitment, Stellantis will also be adding over 1,000 jobs at a new battery plant in Belvidere. We got everyone who lost their job at Belvidere put back on temporary layoff, meaning they'll get sub-pay and health care until their job is back in Belvidere. Under our contract, members from Belvidere who have been scattered across this country will have the right to return back home to Belvidere.
So some big news for those impacted in Belvidere from that agreement, a tentative agreement. But the overall agreement's not yet put together, at least for members. So there's obviously going to be a process here, and they said that's Thursday this week. Their leadership, the Council for the United Auto Workers Union, is going to meet. They're going to get the details, and then they're going to do a preliminary vote. And then after that, they're going to send it out to the members and have them vote. So we could see a vote on this in the weeks ahead. But Fain, he talked about some of the overarching numbers that they got for union members in this tentative deal.
Stellantis more than doubled the total value of the proposals they had on the table. At Stellantis, we not only secured a record contract, we have begun to turn the tide on the war on the American working class. And we truly are saving the American dream. In our union, the members are the highest authority. That means we have a process for rolling out the details of the agreement and making sure every member gets a chance to make an informed decision.
So clearly, we're going to hear a lot more about that. But big news for the Belvidere community. If indeed this contract does get signed, you're going to have 1,200 jobs return, and then you're going to have an additional 1,000 jobs for a battery plant in Belvidere. But all this push towards electric vehicles, and while the Belvidere plants will have a battery plant, they are going to be building combustible engine products, like a mid-sized truck, for instance, that you heard about So that if indeed is a tentative deal that becomes inked and signed, that'll happen. But the battery plant question, interesting, especially, the state is working towards getting more incentives out, taxpayer-funded incentives, to attract more EV manufacturers to Illinois. But the issue of electric vehicles came into focus during last week's Illinois Senate Appointments Committee. And this was a committee where they deal with all kinds of appointments from Governor J.B. Pritzker and other, for other state agencies. And one in particular was the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency's electric vehicle coordinator, Mega Lekchara. She was up for consideration and questions about EV batteries, costs, investments elsewhere. Here's how some of that conversation went between her and State Senator Steve McClure.
One of the big controversies around electric vehicles is what do you do with the batteries once they no longer function? And so I guess I pose that question to you. What do we do with these batteries when they no longer function? But at the moment, there's really no solution for what we do with these batteries.
It's a problem that the world is facing in how to grapple with it, and it's going to grow in enormities.
So obviously, she acknowledges it's going to grow in enormities. More on that hearing last week, which was rather fascinating.
This year, in terms of appropriation, and the program opens on November 1, we have $12 million. So we're only going to be able to give rebates to 3,000 EVs at this time. Last time we had $20 million, and we handed out rebates to 4,800 people. Last year we had, of the 4,800 rebates that we handed out, 530 were low-income applicants, and we didn't give out a single rebate until we gave out the low-income applicants.
So part of that also included around 4,900 vehicles. 300 were luxury vehicles costing $125,000 that got a $4,000 taxpayer-funded rebate from the state of Illinois. So clearly some are asking if that's the proper use of dollars. Here's State Senator Jason Plummer.
It's a phenomenal industry, phenomenal technology, phenomenal vehicles, and the growth is going to just continue. Maybe we should reallocate our limited resources in a better way.
So you've got that question proposed. You've got others looking at new technology. State Senator Omar Aquino asked about regenerative roads.
In other states, California being one, and throughout in other nations, there's these sort of kinetic roads that produce energy or what type of innovative things that are out there worldwide or in other states that they're doing in terms of trying to utilize energy in different ways? Are you able to sort of bring in, or is that something more of IEPA that largely, or is your role, do you have the ability to sort of bring these ideas to our state and work with Tollway and IDOT and so forth to consider other models?
So Lekchara heard that, and looking at these ideas of electrified roadways, that's pretty costly.
At the moment, I think they are cost prohibitive, and we might need some demos or so before we kind of march ahead.
Yeah, especially before we're going to put any tax dollars behind that. And she talked about the tax dollars. Obviously, earlier we heard about the rebates and the new program. By the way, if you're going to look for an electric vehicle, or if you've got one in your sights, starting tomorrow, November 1st, they're opening up a new $12 million rebate program. So there will be $12 million available, but it's going to be prioritized for low-income folks, even though low-income folks for the previous program that cost taxpayers $20 million, it was only about a 12% rate of those who were considered low income. But to other costs, while some are saying, hey, should we look at investing in electrified roads? Somebody says they're called toll roads. That'd be interesting if you have to pay and they just snag your license plate like they do here in Illinois anyways. But aside from, asking about investing in that type of thing, Lekchara said that, hey, we're doing what we can to take federal tax dollars and implement charging stations across the states.
I'm working with IDOT for the $148 million that we have in federal funding to set up chargers all over our interstates. And I'm also working with CMS towards electrifying our state fleet. So the idea is to cost effectively use the current money that we have to deploy as many charging stations as we possibly can, so that it takes range anxiety out of people and they feel more comfortable buying electric vehicles.
So I know that range anxiety is a big thing. Somebody else on the chat indicating that's not just range anxiety, try getting parts for a Tesla, they said. But also you've got the pushback between, well, electric vehicles are cheaper to fuel than they are gas-powered vehicles. Well, gas-powered vehicles, they pay a gas tax that goes to pay for roads. And in Illinois, we have like the second highest gas tax in the country or something, definitely the highest in the Midwest. It's continuing to go up. I think 49 cents now. It's going to be like 50 cents sometime in the near future. And that's just the state gas tax tacked on top of the federal gas tax, all going to pay for roads. Electric vehicles, while they have an increased annual, sticker they have to get for their license plate, and that might help offset some of the costs, it's really the combustion engine vehicles that are paying that gas tax at the gas pump that are really maintaining those roads. So there's a concern about free riders of electric vehicle owners. So you've got the cost of the rebates, the cost of the infrastructure, that tax dollars being used to set up electric charging stations, for instance, the increased cost of generating electricity. Some studies have shown that that really does come down to about, like the equivalent of $17 a gallon or something to that effect. So you might be able to find some of that research out there. But clearly there's some debate still to be had on whether or not electric vehicles are efficient. But back to that question of batteries. A lot of the push it's for the environment, global climate change, and we shouldn't be spewing out all kinds of CO2 from gas-powered vehicles. So more electric vehicles. But do they think about how those electric vehicles are put together and the carbon that's emitted putting those together and the precious minerals that are used to put together that? How do you mine those precious minerals? Well, you go and use, likely, diesel-powered vehicles that are spewing out carbon. Regardless, after the battery's built, say it's built at a Belvidere power plant here in Illinois, or say it's built at a Chinese factory in Manteno, or if it's built by Lion Electric, or if it's built by Rivian, or some other new company that's going to come in and get state taxpayer credits or rebates, or whatever the case may be. What do you do with those batteries once they're done? Because batteries don't last forever. That's a question that State Senator Steve McClure asked.
One of the big controversies around electric vehicles is what do you do with the batteries once they no longer function? Mm-hmm. And so I guess I pose that question to you. What do we do with these batteries when they no longer function?
Well, and that's a very important question. Right now, we only have 86,000 electric vehicles in the state, and we're hoping to exceed 1 million by 2030. So this problem is only going to get, bigger.
But at the moment, there's really no solution for what we do with these batteries.
It's a problem that the world is facing in how to grapple with it, and it's going to grow in enormity. So yes, people are trying to do what they want, and there are still steps that need to be taken.
Still a lot of steps need to be taken in order to get that done. So we'll obviously be looking at that as well. Of course, the legislature's off this week. They're back next week, so we'll be watching everything that happens there. But don't forget, like, subscribe, and follow me anywhere on X, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Rumble, on Instagram. I think that's mostly it. I don't know if I ever started a Bishop on Air MySpace page. But have yourself a great and safe Halloween. All right?